Hey, welcome back. I'm so glad you're here because today we're going to talk about a topic that is absolutely pertinent to you and me and everyone you know who's involved in aviation. Have you found that aviation has gotten a little pricey? Maybe it's more expensive than you want it to be, and it's a little challenging for you to justify spending that much money to own your own aircraft. Let's face it, you could look through the classifieds and go on barnstormers.com and check out Trade a Plane, and the airplane you're interested in on the used market is $100,000. And in my neighborhood, a T-hanger is going to be $300 every month. We know the annual is going to be probably in the $2,000 range, and insurance will cost us $1,200 a year. That's a little tough to get past the spouse, especially if your spouse wants to vacation or redo the kitchen, or maybe you're thinking about buying a new car and it's just not possible to do both at the same time. Well, what if we could set the Wayback Machine for a time when the price was half of that? Better yet, what if we could go back a little further and we could cut that price down to 25%. What if that same airplane, the one that you find desirable that fits your needs, was only $25,000? What if the annual would only cost you $500 and the hangar a mere $75 a month? Would that become interesting to you? It would to me. Let's talk about co-ownership. You might think of that as a partnership, but a partnership is actually a business relationship. It's a medical practice or a law office. A co-ownership is when two or more people own the same asset. And it's common in aviation. Not so common that everyone knows how to do it, but it is common. Let me give you an example. You've met Pat Brown, my good buddy, a designated pilot examiner in Houston, a longtime flight instructor, and a former flight school owner who does videos right here on MadProps on Fridays. Pat has been a co-owner in a number of airplanes for the exact reasons I mentioned. He had access to an airplane that he really wanted access to. He enjoyed flying it. It fit his needs. It did not fit his budget for individual ownership. Fortunately, and this is a little oddity of aviation, we don't fly our airplane every day. At least most people don't. Matter of fact, most people don't even fly once a week. That means we don't really need 24/7, 365 access to an airplane to enjoy the benefits of ownership. Better yet, by getting involved in a co-ownership agreement, we're not personally responsible for all the costs. If you blow a tire and you've got to get it replaced, that's split 2 or 3 or 5 ways. It depends how many people you want involved in that co-ownership and how many people in your area are interested. You've been thinking how nice it would be to own your own aircraft, to have the ability to run down to the airport with your spouse or your friend and fly off for that $100 hamburger or the weekend away, or just the excitement of going someplace that you've never been before, spending the weekend and coming back without spending hours and hours in the car or having to go to the international airport to jump on one of the big turbine pressurized tubes that fly around. It's hard to do that as an individual. Some of us can, most of us can't. But by having access to that airplane and accepting that I'm going to have another person or 2 or 3 other people who they also have access, but remember, we don't fly it every day. So the odds are we'll be able to get access to that airplane and use it for what we want to use it for when we want to. It's very common for people who are in 2 and 3 and 4-way co-ownerships to have no scheduling problems at all. Now, Pat's done really well with his co-ownership agreements, and he does own a 182 individually now. And I have owned 7 aircraft over my career, but there was a time when I was involved with other people in the ownership of an aircraft. As a matter of fact, I'm actually talking to a couple guys right now who own a Legend Cub, and I would very much like to become the 3rd owner of that airplane, where the 3 of us can enjoy the benefits of ownership and access to that aircraft, and none of us have to shoulder the full burden of the cost. Now let's face it, this is not the easiest way to go, but it is a plausible, proven way to go. And think about this rationally. Do you think you're the only person in your town who wishes they could afford an aircraft? but can't make that a top priority? I'm willing to bet if you're in a town of any size at all, there are several other people struggling with this exact same problem. So if you were to click like below saying, what a great topic, I'm glad MadProps covered that, and maybe subscribe to the channel, you might even consider sharing this exact video on your social media channel or theirs, just to drop the hint. Maybe we should be talking about how we would go about purchasing and maintaining and storing and flying an airplane with multiple members sharing that cost. There are co-ownership agreements floating around on the internet. Some are good, some not so good. I know AOPA can help you because they've done that before. I would strongly advise, however, that you work with a local attorney and a local CPA to make sure you set this up correctly right from the start. And you may get fortunate and find that local attorney and or CPA are pilots who are in the exact same boat looking for access to an aircraft. You might find an A&P mechanic who wants to get involved, which cuts your maintenance costs. You might find a flight instructor who wants to be involved, and all of a sudden, doing your flight reviews is a piece of cake because you're flying your airplane with your buddy and co-owner. This is a workable system that can get you into an aircraft that you really want to be a part of for a price that you can easily afford. All of a sudden, access to an aircraft, access to the airport, access to the entire airspace system becomes absolutely affordable and enjoyable and stress-free. Consider the possibilities, and trust me, we'll be talking more about this right here on Mad Props because this is one of the big stumbling blocks for people who want to get involved in aviation. And if you do own an airplane individually and you're thinking, you know, the insurance costs are starting to get to me, I really don't fly it that much and I'm paying for the hangar and the annual really, man, that was tough last year. Maybe that's the perfect opportunity for you to say, what if I brought on another owner or two? I could cut those costs way down and I still have access to my airplane. Thanks so much for watching. Thanks for liking and subscribing to the channel. It really does help us out with the algorithm, growing the audience. And I hope we'll be back here next time so we can talk some more about how you can cut the cost of being involved in aviation long term so it's a joy and not a headache.